So you may have seen some floating off into the distance or gliding over your neighborhood. Hot air balloons grab your imagination. Where did they come from? Where are they going? And how do they stay up? Well, when you walk onto a launch field, the first thing that you see is a basket. And it's about waist high, and it's made out of wicker, not unlike the rocker on your grandmother's front porch. And you're thinking wicker looks a little flimsy, but actually it's very light and flexible, which you need because you want to get up in the ground, off the ground into the air, and you want it to be flexible when it lands so it moves a little bit. The next thing you see is this big bag, and it's like an extra large beanbag chair. And it's filled with brightly colored nylon fabric. This is the envelope. And it gets attached to the basket with cables and carabiners. The nylon fabric whispers as they pull it out of the bag and lay it out on the field. And through the air, it looks like a child's colorful finger painting. Then we bring out a big gasoline fan, about yay big, and turn it on. And the crew holds the mouth of the balloon open. And this is the opening down near the basket. And the fabric bulges and undulates as the forced air fills the creases and crevices of the envelope. Once it's full of cold air, it's this giant lighting on its side. And then the pilot gets in and he lights up the propane burners. And it's like a dragon tongue of flame shooting up into the center of the envelope. And as the air heats, this giant slowly stands upright. Now it's towering 3 stories above you. And the passengers are given the signal and they scramble into the basket. So in the basket you have the pilot, 4 passengers, and crowded in with them are 2 large propane tanks. So the pilot keeps burning, so the burners are roaring away. It's really loud and noisy, until the air inside heats up enough so that the balloon becomes buoyant, and it lifts up off the ground. As the earth falls away, houses start to shrink, cars become toys, and the ubiquitous swimming pools are everywhere. Once you're in the air, you notice there's no steering wheel. Balloons don't have steering wheels. The pilots figure out which direction they want to go to by going to the various altitudes. At each altitude, the wind blows in a different direction. So the pilot can take the balloon high enough to see the Freedom Tower in New York City, or low enough to scrape the tops of trees. And the ride is silent, except for the occasional burn of the burners to keep the air hot. So you can hear people having conversations down on the ground. And you can hear the dogs barking, because dogs do not like balloons. So you hear barking dogs everywhere. The pilot is always scanning for landing sites, and he's also looking for obstacles. High tension lines and hot air balloons don't mix. And they look for livestock and farmers' fields. Farmers don't like hot air balloon pilots because there have been some nefarious pilots who scare livestock or crush the crops. Once the pilot finds an appropriate landing spot, he goes through a series of maneuvers which releases some of the hot air so the balloon has controlled descent and settles onto the ground. Once the crew arrives where the balloon lands, the passengers climb back out of the basket and the crew wrestles with the balloon. And I say wrestle because she doesn't want to give up her freedom. So as they pull the envelope down, hot air bleeds out, and you end up nothing more with a puddle of nylon fabric again. So we roll up the nylon fabric, stuff it back into that bag until it's time to go out and play again. And the crew takes the balloon and the passengers back to the landing field. And champagne corks are popped to celebrate the traditions of ballooning. And the passengers talk excitedly about what they saw from that bird's eye view. And the crew talks about the flight itself too, because they have a different perspective. And there's nothing more exciting than being lighter than air.